loves, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a video I promised you guys. In a previous video, I told you guys I had a whole day out in the hot Florida sun and my makeup still looked amazing. I've been using newer products that I have been talking about in my recent faves and fails, things like that, BoxyCharm, but this new combination of products that I've been using with some kind of tweaked techniques have really helped to make my makeup look good all day long. I said in that past video that I was at Busch Gardens and it was like 96 degrees. And Busch Gardens, just for those of you that are not in Florida or don't know theme parks, it's a theme park, it's hot outside. It was like a drink and food festival kind of thing. I wasn't riding any rides, but I was in direct sun and heat all day long, walking around, and I was exhausted and sweaty. But at the end of the day, my makeup still looked good. I even at the end of the day looked in the mirror and was like, oh, these new techniques and products in this combination are working. And when I told you guys that, a lot of you said, hey, would you please do a quick tutorial for us to let us know what is working for you? These aren't revolutionary tips. I do kind of put it on with you, go through the motions, tell you step by step what each process is for me. And for me, it is currently working. I'm having really weird skin. I do have some maturing fine lines that are also being masked in this process, but still making my makeup last all day. Again, I don't feel like this is revolutionary, but I just feel like these steps right now are really working for me with these particular products. So I hope you enjoy this video. I should also mention, I also show you what to do when you mess up towards the end of your makeup because of your mascara getting all down below because of allergies or wand movement. The struggle is real. I hope you enjoy. So good morning, you guys. It is early morning here for me, and I'm going to be taking you through the steps to do my base foundation, what makeup steps and pieces I use to make my makeup last and look natural all day long. Right now, because I'm still testing this out to see how I like it, and so far I really do, I am using the Peach and Lily Glass Skin Refining Serum. It's translucent and luminous. A lot of you have said you notice how radiant my skin has been looking, but also I know and feel like this is really helping these pores up here. It's kind of crazy. Also, grab yourself a coffee or a beverage. I will be drinking out of my cup here that has some cold brew in it. I love that it's a pump too. I literally just pump it on my face. And then I just kind of like rub it in. Now, if you did not get this from BoxyCharm, which apparently not a lot of people did, some people did that did not have PR boxes, but I have seen people asking, hey Nicole, did you get a PR box with that in it? And yes, I did. I buy one box and I get a PR box, but I do have a few people in my comments who said they do not have PR and got it, but it's not a lot from what I'm understanding. I would also just, if I didn't have this, what I was using before I had this is Confidence in a Cream moisturizer, but right now I'm solely just focusing on using this. But if you don't have this, I love this too. I also have two mirrors. I have one here and then this one for up close. So if you see this in the frame, that's what it is. It's just my mirror. I then will let this sit and rest and kind of like soak into my skin for at least 30 seconds to a minute. I'm afraid I'm gonna get tongue-tied this morning because I am just literally gotten up and made my coffee and sat down to make this video with you, because really you're starting my morning with me today. And sorry you're totally getting my morning voice right now. Last night was my anniversary dinner. If you followed me on Instagram, you probably saw me kind of like chronicling some of our night. It was a lot of fun. And now today I have morning voice because it's still early for me right now. Next I'm going to be going into a foundation that I've told you guys I really love. It's drugstore. This is the CoverGirl Olay Simply Ageless 3-in-1 foundation. This has hyaluronic vitamin C. I really like this right now. I do think it oxidizes a little pink on me at the moment, but after I use my concealer, my next step, it all kind of starts to sort itself out, and then I use powder. So this is where I start. Sometimes I do use a primer, and I'm either really loving the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer or the Tatcha Skin Silk Canvas. I would sometimes jump into these, and sometimes with this, I don't feel like I need to. But if I used the IT Cosmetics in a cream, I would definitely be using this right now and just pressing it into my skin. I got a couple pores here, so I may as well. I'll jump into the e.l.f. here. I'm seeing a couple still right here. And again, after I put on a primer, I also just kind of wait maybe another 30 seconds to a minute to let that absorb and really get into my skin. Now again, everyone's skin is different, so if you know that you need 2 minutes or you don't need any time in between, you do you. Everyone's skin is so different. This is just what I do right now. Okay, I'm giving you an even closer close-up because I just get so impressed with how all of my pores just seem to disappear or melt once I put this on. This is such an amazing, inexpensive product. I love it. Now, I already dampened a Real Technique sponge, so it's big and fluffy. It is dirty. I've been using it this week, and I have a schedule to clean this tomorrow afternoon, so bear with me. It is dirty right now from the week. But then I pump this directly onto my face. And I just kind of like make a bunch of lines. I feel like this is really like cooling, and when I start to mix it and put it onto my skin, I feel like it lays down really well, so I usually put a little bit all over my face when I do this. And you'll also notice I do a bouncing technique. I think a lot of beauty YouTubers talk about this, so this is not revolutionary in any means, but I do truly bounce the product into my skin rather than swipe, because as an oily skin girl and someone who just had down 2 other pieces of face product, I do think without moving anything, without like ruining the integrity of the makeup and the products beneath it, I think bouncing really helps to get it onto my skin and into my skin in a way that swiping just doesn't do. This also tends to give it a better finish. I will also usually jump up here onto my eye. If you don't like to do that, you don't have to do that, but I do that. I also make sure to get in between the eyes because I do have a very expressive face, so I already have some inset wrinkles here. How you doing? I like to really press it into that area because it does help to cover these fine lines. Fine lines, let's call them fine lines. Oh, way too much of an expression. I try to keep my face really like blank and emotionless while I'm doing the first parts of my makeup. Don't yell at the dogs, don't yell at the kids, do not yell at your husband, just have a little you time. And press that in without much facial expression. Anyone else ever get like a gray hair, just like one rando right up front? I think I told you the color of this foundation. I said it in a previous video, but this is 250 Creamy Beige. I like how this lays and sits on my skin and wears on my skin, but I do feel like it like sort of oxidizes a tinge to be a little too pinky, but I feel like in person it looks just so similar to just skin for me that I will deal with it. Next, I jump into the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I really, really love this stuff. I was using the e.l.f. Camo, and I still really do like this, but like I've said before, and I think a lot of other people have said, you have to act really quickly because it will crease. This is still good. I will still use this up, but right now, for the face that I've been doing, that I've been talking about in my other videos, that just kind of like lasts all day, I'm loving this. These are the sections of my face that I tend to use when I do this. So I like how this kind of brightens and highlights, and it's not too much. Even though when I start to spread it with my, damp sponge, you're gonna be like, that seems to be a lot. But I like to use this format for my shape face. You have a different shape face than I do, so do what is best for you. Sometimes more oval faces need it more here and just like direct, not so wide out. I have more of like a square round face, so this tends to help with the natural highlights to make things start looking put together. Again, I also do the bouncing technique, and I use the flat side of my Real Technique sponge. Under the eye with this much product, I take it all the way out and kind of up, and I also go on my eye again. This is also my eye primer, and I also get into the side of my nose. Now I do want to reiterate, as I'm going through surgical menopause, in the afternoons I still do get oily, so I'm still on the hunt for a good foundation piece that I still really like this, but I still do get oily, and I'm sure some of the moisturizer in this is to blame for that. But like I said, I went to Busch Gardens on a 95, 96 degree day for hours, and my makeup still looked really good with this technique. kind of take this up on the forehead and like spread it out, again doing the more like bouncing effect to really also cover. I have two very expressive fine lines, stick with fine lines up here, and this really helps to kind of keep them concealed, but also it doesn't tend to crease much when I start doing this whole technique that I'm going to be showing you throughout this whole video. It really helps from them looking extra bossy. See, like if I was using that e.l.f. camo concealer, right now my under eyes would look very creasy because I haven't set them right away. I've been doing the rest of my face. That's where I have the issue with the e.l.f. camo concealer. But it is a really good concealer and I will use it up. But this Too Faced Born This Way, I can keep doing the rest of my face and not feel like I'm not moving quick enough and have to deal with lines. You knew this was coming. This is the Becca Hydra-Mist Set and Fresh Powder. We got this from BoxyCharm. I have a backup. I love this stuff. Using the damp sponge, I immediately put this on the tip and go right under the eye. I feel like I have to like raise my eyebrows a little bit, not a ton to upset my forehead, but to like get up under my very big expressive eyes. Also be sure to get on the sides of your nose and then do the forehead as well. Get that forehead real good. And then I do get enough powder and start doing the rest of my face. This is crucial in my opinion, at least with my skin. And I will go over areas that I've just done, even just a bit more if I have more on my sponge. I want to lock this stuff in, including on the tops of my eyes. Penny wants to say hello. She's being very bossy this morning. Come here. Say hi. Say hi, YouTube. Ever since my surgery and mommy disappeared for 5 days, she has become a mama's girl. Say hi, YouTube. Say hi, friends. And a lot of you ask, yes, she is a Doxy mix. She is a long-haired Doxy mix. I think she's mixed with maybe some Pomeranian. She's got a long fluffy tail and fluffy ears and a fluffy neck. Maybe also some Cocker Spaniel. She's very fast. She thinks she's a cat and she likes to chase birds. Okay, so now that we have the powder kind of pressed in all over our face, the next step I like to do is to get a setting spray. This is going to be the Urban Decay All Nighter. I have used other ones, like I'm still trying to use up my All Star from ColourPop. I'm like at the very bottom, but I tend to just kind of gravitate to this and then just spray and then let it dry. Don't yell, don't move, don't express, don't emote. This is really just the base of the face that I was talking about. These are the steps I do in the order I do, which isn't like groundbreaking by any means, but this has been helping a lot to keep my makeup on. Now again, make sure it dries down before you kind of go on, but next I would be going into a bronzer. Do whatever you want. I'm going to be using the number 7 in the shade Maple that I've talked about before with a Wet n Wild brush. Kind of applying the bronzer up around my forehead, on my face, and then yes, I also use this one for my nose. Essentially, we're just kind of doing the whole like bronzer and or contour, blush, highlight, brows, kind of the stuff you would normally do, and then we're gonna do a little bit more to the face. I'm just gonna kind of like fast forward through this part because this is the steps that you kind of already know. So at this point, before I do my eyes, depending on what I'm going to be doing that day, I may do another spray. And I know some people may be thinking this is like a little too much. This is just what I have been able to do to really keep my skin all together. Sometimes I will spray again a third time after the eyes and everything is done, but sometimes I don't then, and then that gives me the luxury of knowing that this is all locked in tight. Another thing I would maybe do at this moment is kind of see what has changed, what is oxidized, and make any corrections. And also take a sponge and take anything down my neck that I think I need to. Again, I'm kind of in this weird shade flux because I've been indoors a lot over the summer and I'm trying to make sure everything matches. But just in general, I would also just make sure anything that I have like right here that maybe is making a line goes down the neck with my damp sponge. So when you have a little blender, you probably already know this, but if those of you that don't, let it dry. Do not swipe, do not move it. It is still wet. You will get a black eye. You will ruin your makeup, even though I already feel like now I've definitely gonna have a little bit of a over here. So fully let this boo-boo dry and then we scratch it off. After a quick clothing change, little hair brushing, this will hopefully be dry. So let's figure out how to get rid of this black eye, shall we? Oh, just hate when that happens. I always take one of these, or your fingernail will work too. We just don't want to do this too often because this is a sensitive part of your skin. Be very gentle under there. It may take longer, but this is sensitive skin. And it's actually, it's funny, this concealer is so good, it is not messing up the concealer under it. I really feel like that's a combination of a good concealer and a great powder. This is also kind of proving my point without having to have a whole day wear test that it's lasting. Can you see the concealer is still really good under there? You see the black line too, because hi mascara, but there's no concealer budging. Whew, all right. Got our face back together. I did end up using a tad bit of this same concealer just right under here and then doing a light powder with this, and I think it looks pretty good. I really think the main things that have been helping to make my makeup stay all day. Now I understand we're technically moving into that pumpkin spice latte vibe and feel just because we like to rush everything, but also I lived in the Midwest until I moved here to Florida. So not only do I know that I have my Florida girls that have told me that they really appreciate these kind of steps to help make their light makeup last all day, but having lived in the Midwest, we all know really August, September is when that heat comes upon us. The weather is not cooling very much, although I think in St. Louis it was kind of starting to get a little cooler, which is kind of nice, but we still have those hot days in September and even into the beginning of October. So if you're looking for your makeup to last all day, these are the current steps that are really helping me with the products that I have been using. Now that I've done everything again, I would, even if I knew I was going to be out in the hot heat, do one more face spray. Now, this is when I could mix it up though, because I still really like, if you're wanting a little bit of glow, this is when I would jump in with the Pixi Glow Mist at the end. You could do it in the beginning too. I've also mixed and matched those kinds of things. It just depends on what kind of finish you like. When you guys told me in a video, maybe 2 or 3 ago, you said, oh my gosh, you're luminous. What have you been doing? Instead of spraying down the first time with this, I sprayed down with this. This is the Glow Mist from Pixi. So that's kind of like the differentiator there. It depends on what you're using when. I wanted to be a little bit more matte today, so that's why I just kind of just dived in with this baby, the all-nighter. Since I also did just apply a little bit more concealer and powder under here, and now that my eyelashes have had a moment or 17 to dry, I'm gonna spray again. Now we wait. Don't move. Don't yell. Don't emote. And other than being in front of a large window with direct sunlight coming in, I also recommend a fan because it helps with your makeup. Now, touch-ups through the day are something else that I think really help makeup look even better, especially if you're an oily girl. Like I said, halfway through the day, no matter what foundation I'm using, no matter what I'm doing, I always get a little shiny. So I really do love this. Now this does not look travel size. They do sell travel size in a smaller pack, but if you're like, I don't want to transport this into something else, I don't want to take this whole piece with me, what should I do? I still love and rave about the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance. This is in the classic beige shade, and you can definitely tell I still love this because look at the pan. Look at that pan. If I love something, you know it, because pan, especially with base makeup. I feel like eyeshadow palettes, it's no matter how much you love them, it's hard to hit pan on something like that because I have a variety. But with face products, hi, how you doing? Pan. I think the step that really locks it all into place for me is keeping that damp beauty sponge, no matter what kind you use, next to you after you do your whole foundation, concealer. Set it down all over the face with this, not just under the eyes. That was a huge game changer for me. Now, I also still said I liked the Wet n Wild loose powder. Some loose powders are still good for that, but for some reason for me, this particular powder really like sets it all together even before I've set like that face spray thing down that kind of like brings it all into one. I feel like this does that for me. And like I said, this powder also is helping all my fine lines. I always tease my dad, I have the Fisher forehead. I have the very expressive forehead and in between the brows. I have since high school. It's just, I always knew that that's where my trouble spots would be as I aged. This lays down on top of it and kind of sinks in, but doesn't create the lines. It just kind of like blends it. And that's where I think the Simply Ageless part of this baby comes in. So not afraid to say I've enjoyed that. With this concealer, and you guys saw me bouncing it across my forehead, really spreading it out with that bounce to really get into the skin to marry with the foundation, helps a lot. And then this powder, this is kind of what is like the pre-face mist, because this is a, you know, Hydra-Mist. It really helped to keep everything from going line central. I didn't look like I was aged out already. And then through my day, it lasts. And then if I do need a touch up because I'm shiny or I have puppy kisses on my nose and my nose starts to fall apart, I do take this with a brush then. If you have a damp beauty sponge, I'm sure that would work just as well. But because usually through the day, it's already kind of like weird in this drying phase and I may be out and about, I grab a brush of some sort, tap it on where I need to, and go. If I don't have this with me though, this is always in my purse. The CoverGirl Advanced Radiance Powder. Again, mine's in classic beige. This stuff, it gives you some coverage and helps to seal all your makeup back together so it looks fresh versus cakey or piled on. These are just my steps that I have noticed have really helped. Again, it was like 96 degrees at Busch Gardens, and by the end of the day that I was there, and I was sweating profusely because I'm still in recovery. That was the most movement I had had, and it was in direct sun and heat. I was still really impressed with how my makeup lasted through that whole day. Even when I came home at the end of the day, I was still looking at myself going, girl, this new routine you're doing, these new products you're using are keeping me all together. I hope this helped you guys out. I hope this was at least somewhat helpful for you because these aren't revolutionary steps or tips. It's just the combination, I think, of what I'm currently using. And a lot of you said you really wanted to know what am I using, especially in the heat, my weird skin doing stuff to keep everything lasting and looking good all day. This is what I'm doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you happen to be new to my crazy little channel, hi new friends, I hope you take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button down below to see all of the fun, loud, weird, unique videos I put out every single week. Bye friends!